Hi guys, let's study a checkmate pattern called Boden's mate today. In this position, we have Bowden playing black against Schilder playing white, played in London 1853, a long time ago. This game is actually the namesake of Boden's mate because here Bowden checkmate his opponent in a spectacular fashion. Let me show you the pattern first, and then as usual, we'll study it in detail and practice with the new positions. First here Bowden goes d5, threatening the bishop. Now white has to take, otherwise you lose the bishop. So bishop takes d5. And now there's a beautiful queen sacrifice. Queen takes c3. Now again, white only has one legal move because otherwise it's a checkmate, right? So white has to take. B takes c3. And now can you see the checkmate? It's bishop to a3 and it's checkmate. What a beautiful checkmate. And this pattern is what's called the Boden's mate. So two bishops checkmating the king. One of the bishops control the diagonal so the king cannot escape, and the other bishop checkmating the king. And you see there are two pieces next to the king that disable the king from escaping the mating net. Okay, so let's rewind the position to the beginning and find out what do we need for Boden's mate. What are the requirements for this pattern? Usually the opponent's king is castled queenside, not always, but usually they are. So here the king's is castled queenside. We have a bishop on this diagonal. So what remains is for black to put their bishops in this diagonal. And a common pattern, as we can see here, is to clear this pawn on b2 by sacrificing the queen. When the queen is sacrificed, there is no choice for white but to take. And now this diagonal is clear for black to checkmate the white king. Okay, a new position for you to practice. White to move and win and checkmate with Boden's mate. I'll give you a couple of seconds to try to figure things out on your own first. Please feel free to pause the video as well if you need additional time. Okay, the right move is queen takes c6. Check. Now black has only one legal move because the king has nowhere to go and he's in check. So b takes c6. And now bishop a6 is checkmate. It's almost exact same pattern as we see in the first position. Again, the king is castled queenside, and the bishop is giving a checkmate on a6, while the other bishop is controlling the other diagonal, so the king cannot escape. Here also there is additional help from the rook to prevent the king from escaping to the d file. Okay, another position for you to practice. Here the position is slightly different. The opponent's king is not castled queenside, white to move and checkmate the king with Boden's mate. Please feel free to pause the video if you need additional time. Otherwise, I'll give you a couple of seconds to figure out things on your own. Okay, so as we can see from the position, we already have the bishop on a3 controlling the diagonal. So the only requirement here for Boden's mate is for the other bishop to checkmate the king from the other diagonal. And the way to do that is to clear the f7 pawn. How do we clear the f7 pawn? With a spectacular queen sacrifice, of course. Queen takes e6 check. Now, if black parry with the queen, then it's checkmate straight away. So f takes e6. But then bishop g6, and it's a Boden mate yet again. Another position. Earlier we have seen Boden's mate where the opponent's king is castled queenside and where the opponent's king is in the middle. And now let's see a Boden's mate when the king is castled kingside. As usual, please feel free to pause the video to figure out the mate on your own first. Okay, so how do we checkmate the black king? Here the pattern is a little bit different than earlier. Usually for Boden's mate, the king is on the 8th rank. But here on the 8th rank, the king has one escape square, which is h8. So we have to do something to open up this line, but also attract the king forward so that it enters the mating net. And we do that, those two things, with one move, which is queen takes f7. Sacrifice the queen. And now, obviously, if king h8, then we have another mate with queen g8. So king takes f7, I should say. And now the king fall into the mating net. bishop takes e6, and this is the Boden mate pattern as well. Slightly different from earlier, but it's still checkmate with two bishops that control both diagonals, and the king is trapped with his own pieces. Okay guys, last position to practice the Boden's mate. As usual, I saved the best for the last for you. White to move and win. Here is a little bit difficult than previous positions, just to give you a hint, because we don't necessarily checkmate the black king with Boden's mate. If black does his best defense, we can only use the idea of the Boden's mate to win, but not necessarily checkmate the black king with the Boden's mate. But we should win significantly though, so that's the hint. As usual, please feel free to pause the video and figure things out on your own first. What's the best move for white to move and to win? Okay, let's analyze the position. White's black bishop already controls b8, h2 diagonal. So if we have another piece controlling this diagonal, a6, c8, then the black king will be checkmated. So it is actually safe for us to move the queen to a6. And is that a good move? Yes, it is, for the reasons that I will tell you later. So now if b takes a6, then it's a Boden's mate. So assuming blacks play best defense, then he wouldn't take. But now black is in big problem here. Let's say that black does some really silly move like h6, a waiting move. Then it's a Boden's mate again because of queen takes c6, right? And you can see the pattern as usual. So black needs a way to protect this pawn. There are two ways to protect the pawn. You can move the knight, or you can move the queen. If you move the knight here, then rook takes d8, king takes d8, and queen a5, winning a piece, and white should win easily. So best defense for black is actually queen c5. And now what white needs to do is to attack the black queen so that she cannot defend the c6 pawn anymore. So knight a4, attacking the queen. And now black is in huge trouble. There is no square where the queen can go that is safe and can still control the c6 pawn. So best defense for black here is active defense actually, queen e3 check. Basically the idea is to distract the bishop, bishop takes e3. Now it's possible to take the queen at a6 because bishop takes a6 doesn't result in checkmate anymore. The bishop doesn't control this diagonal anymore. So black survives here but totally losing. Computer analysis show 8.1 advantage for white. I will show you one possible continuation, which is knight d4, threatening the pawn on c6. Now if black guards with the king, king c7, this mate matters worse because of bishop f4 check. The only way to prevent checkmate is to go bishop d6. But then white goes knight takes e6, check, f takes e6, and now checkmate anyway. So in this position, black actually cannot guard with king c7. So best move given by computer here is actually knight f6. But then yeah, it's just knight c6 check, forking the king and the rook. Now king c7. Now knight takes d8. King takes d8. And I think I'll stop here. White is definitely winning. Should be able to win the endgame easily. Up an exchange. Knight for a rook. And also up 2 pawns. Thank you for watching, guys. It will really mean a lot to me if you do subscribe to the channel and like the video. Basically, it gives me feedback that the content I'm creating actually do help people out there. And yeah, I'm currently going through checkmate pattern and endgame studies. So you might want to turn the channel notification on so you don't miss out on anything. I will see you guys in the next video.